Okay, July, the summer is off to a really good start, and I'm excited to talk about it. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back, another reading wrap up, this time for July of 2025. The summer is off to a really just kick-ass start here, and I'm just thrilled to be saying that. You know, when you do one of these wrap-ups, it's always like, well, you know, it was an okay month. I think it's really fun when you had a great month, and there's lots of good things to talk about. And that's what we're going to do today. Let's go ahead and talk about what I read in July. To do 5 novels, 1 novella, and 3 volumes of manga. First up, we got the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. It's book number 3 in Dungeon Crawler Carl. I said I was kind of feeling about book number 2. It didn't really hit as good as book number 1 did. People assured me book number 3 is going to be different. And while I said book 3 was bringing the fun back, I started to wonder if, well, you know, is there a point where like actual story kicks in? Because so far it's just been really crazy fight, power up, really crazy fight, power up. And I was like, that's what made me stop reading Cradle. I wasn't just interested in watching a character power up in lieu of a story. Literally, like the next chapter, something crazy happened. Like the story finally kicked up. And I feel like book 3, I didn't like this book much as book 1, but obviously I did like the book quite a bit. I like where it's going. It has some really holy shit moments in it. And I dig that about a book like that. You need something to just be kind of crazy. And I like where it's headed. I'll be honest, the train stuff, but I never tried. I never tried to understand it. Even the author at the beginning is like, yeah, you don't pay attention to that. So you were dealing with train numbers, you're dealing with warp gates, all this stuff. Whatever. I just felt like they just kept being like, you know what, let's blow it up, you know, as an anarchist would. But I'm interested to where the story's going next, because people have said like book 4 and 5 might be like the pinnacle of the series. And I'm excited to find out. And I will find out sometime this year. Just don't quite know yet. But another fun adventure with Carl and Donut and that ever-growing group of badasses that he seems to be collecting here. I'm excited to find out where it does go next. The Dark Tower, number 7. My Dark Tower reread is complete. Can't really talk about Dark Tower 7 very much, obviously, without spoiling something for people who haven't read it yet. Just know that Song of Susanna was just as bad as it was in my memory. 7, I think some of those problems I have kind of eased over the last 20 years. So I enjoyed this reread of book number 7 better than I did the reread of Song of Susanna, which was exactly the same. For this, it's like, look, there are still things that bother me. Yes, there are. There are some things that like no amount of time is going to change how I feel about those things. I actually think the ending is quite good, and I did enjoy it this go around. It is very bittersweet to say goodbye to the quartet for a second time. But I always have the Went Through the Keyhole if I feel like I got to go back to it, because I've never read that. I've never read Went Through the Keyhole. So people are like, well, is your Dark Tower reread actually complete? Yes. For, 10 plus years, this was the Dark Tower, and then King did Went Through the Keyhole. I'll do that one eventually, but I'll probably do that in publication order as I make my way through into the multiverse. Gunmetal Gods by ℙ𝕦𝕣𝕒𝕤𝕤. This was really cool. You guys want something that feels a little different than just the same old 14th century Europe. I feel like if you want that in your fantasy, you're going to get it there. You got a lot of those Eldritch, Lovecraft vibes. If you like Richard Swan's series that he did, The Empire of the Wolf, I think you'll like Gunmetal Gods a lot, but just kind of place it, not in that time period, not in that area. And I think that you really like what you see. Bone White by Ronald Malfi. Keep saying it every single month, guy. Ronald Malfi just does not miss. This guy is just automatic with me, and I just feel so thankful for all the recommendations for Ronald Malfi that got me to find my new favorite modern horror author. He's just awesome. He's really good. And this one is like, it's one of those, if you like I don't want to say quite like The Thing or something, but you're in that secluded cabin in the middle of nowhere. No one's coming to help you. If that kind of vibe scares you a little bit, I think you'll like Bone White a lot. Lots of questions. Like really my only complaint about it is like it could have went like another 100 pages, because I think what Malfi does is he says, here's the ending. I'm not going to overstay my welcome. Have a good night. And I think he does that in an effective way. He gives you an ending, but he just doesn't dwell on it. He doesn't do too much on the aftermath of the events of the story. But this one has some real tense moments in the third act that really have me just freaked out. So if you are one of those like me, you prefer the supernatural horror versus it was actually a serial killer the whole time, I think you'll like Bone White a lot, because very good. Very good. I liked it a ton. Starless Night, that's Legacy of the Drow number 2 in the Legend of Drizzt. Again, I don't think that R.A. Salvatore misses when he's writing Drizzt and Guinevere. I like their stories no matter what it is. They seem kind of repetitive of what happened in book number 7, which was the first book in Legacy ℓ𝕠𝕠𝕜𝕠, which was Legacies. It's book 7 and 8 of overall, but of just the Legacy of the ℓ𝕠𝕠, book number 1 and 2. I see some kind of parallels there. Some things that happened in that book in Mithril Hall. This time they're just the same things that's happening in the Underdark. But it's still dealing with just kind of having to face his past a little bit, which he was kind of running from in the first 2 series in Legend of ℓ. I keep wanting to call it Legacy of ℓ. God dang it. The Legend of ℓ. So it's you get it, and I understand it, and you introduced Jarlaxle a lot more than you did in the previous book, and that's a character that people have been carrying on for a while to see what I think about him. I think he's very interesting. I like that there's another drow that is a little bit more layered than just we're dark elves, we're evil. I like that in some of these characters. So another fun adventure. Again, for me, ℓ doesn't miss. It's the perfect palate cleanser between big epic fantasy reads, and that definitely fits the bill. The novella was Artificial Condition. This is Martha Wells, book number 2 in the Murderbot series. I said that, when I read Murderbot, All Systems Red, 3 years ago, I was like, it's not bad. It's just fine. I don't see what everybody likes about it, but I think I approached it the wrong way. Everybody made it sound like it was just hilarious, like it was a laugh a minute. So I think I went into it kind of expecting the paranoid android from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or something, and it wasn't that. But after the show on Apple was so good, I said, well, maybe I understand it differently now. Maybe I'll go back and try Artificial Condition. So was it any different? I think I appreciated it more, but I still kind of fall in the same thing of it's fine. It's nothing that makes me want to reach for the next book. It really has me wondering how they're going to adapt season 2 of that show, because Artificial Condition is seriously mostly just inner dialogue and between him and this other Art, which, well, read it and you'll understand what that's an acronym for. It's actually quite funny. But it's really just monologues between the two of them. So I'll be interested to see how they make that into a season TV. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first one where they say, well, we got to take book 2 and 3 and kind of combine them to make a storyline. They did a great job with season 1. Like I said, I thought that they did, right now I feel like the show is better than the books. But I am happy I gave it another try. I'm not saying I won't continue. I'm just again, I'm not anxious. I like the first 5. So maybe I'll continue. They're not hard reads. They're 140 pages. Maybe that's a problem with that. I just feel like maybe I get more character development if they were a little longer. I don't know. So that might just be more suffering from it being a novella instead of it being an actual novel. But yeah, again, it's good. It's fine. It's like when you go to see an action flick at the movie theater and you like it, but you're not thinking about it a day later. It's kind of like that. And that's not bad. Again, if that's the worst book I read this month, it was a great month, man. It really was. Really, really great month. And then the manga that I read, I did volumes 1 through 3 of the Perfect Edition of 20th Century Boys. I bring that up because apparently the original volumes, there was 22 of them. In the Perfect Edition, there's 11 of them. I don't know how that all works, but I'm reading the Perfect Edition. There was 11 overall. And I read the first 3. That was just kind of a mood read, as it were, because I haven't read any manga in a while. And I know a lot of people want me to go back to One Piece. People want me to finish the Vinland Saga. Now the Vinland Saga is complete, I'm interested in going back to that for sure. But with this, it's look, I'm never going to be done with One Piece. It's incredibly long. And this is one that people have been telling me to read for a while. They've been telling me, you're going to love Urasawa. He's very much a Stephen King fan. I think you'll like that story a lot. And you're right so far. It's very much feels like the Loser Club. It's really, really good. And I'm enjoying it so far. And I'll talk about that a little more. Yeah, I just talked about it recently in my weekly update, and I'll continue to talk about it as I go through, because I feel like this is going to be a series I just kind of roll straight through. No long breaks between it. That is always the hope with these things. But good reading month. But guys, there can only be one, as the Highlander once said. What is the book of the month? Again, if you watch the weekly updates, I feel like you'll probably know what the book of the month is. And I'm going to regurgitate a lot of the things that I said in that weekly update, so my apologies if you are a constant watcher. But I have to bring up some of the same things to tell you what the book of the month is. I just realized I forgot to get it off my shelf before I went into my whole bit to tell you what the book of the month is. It is Gunmetal Gods by ℚ𝕦𝕣𝕠𝕠𝕜. An absolutely incredibly fresh and unique fantasy story that I feel like we don't get enough of in modern fantasy. This was such an amazing ride. I cannot tell you how much I needed something like this, because I spoke earlier this year about how I felt like modern fantasy was starting to let me down because it all just felt repetitive. It all just felt the same. I felt like everything was just kind of blending together. Nothing was really standing out. as unique or fresh or interesting or unpredictable. This is all those things, guys. This is something really crazy. And I loved it so much. I love he has these two different POVs. And at first, you feel like Keva and Micah the Metal, they're just, hey, they're two guys on different sides of warring nations. And then you start to see, well, they have a lot more links in common than I thought. And I really think it is a story, what I talked about when I did my In Case You Missed It before, I call it, undeniable intertwined destinies. Because it feels like that there's like no way in hell these two are not meeting up. Because you usually think, well, POV is just like, it's a small universe, it just feels like, of course you've got to have your POV characters cross over. Not with this. With this, it's just like they could not go through this whole story and not find one another. And it has so many moments that will make you just completely like, oh my God, holy shit, But for me, it's just you're getting kind of that Eastern influence, like almost like I believe the author is from Saudi Arabia. It's kind of like that Indian vibe. It's really, really just so different than what most Western readers are used to when they read fantasy, like I said, which is always just 14th century medieval Europe. That's just kind of always what swords and shields are in fantasy. But this is just so damn different. And I love it so much. I could not get enough of it. I could not stop turning the pages. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Just so incredibly unique. And that's even before the big, crazy Eldritch beasts show up. I mean, this story in the third act goes to crazy town with the power levels, with how grand and epic in scope it truly is. And you deal with these monsters, you deal with magic, jinns, all kinds of stuff that's just so different from anything. So first I was comparing it to The Darkness That Comes Before. No, it's not like that, I don't think. I think if you like Darkness That Comes Before, you probably like this. It's just not quite as heavy or as much like, oh my, what the F is going on as Darkness That Comes Before. But this, I think that readers that like that will like this a lot because it's just so damn different than everything else that I'm reading right now. And the fact that this is the guy's debut novel is absolutely amazing. So take a bow, Mr. ACOTAR. I can't wait to read Conqueror's Blood because I like this a lot. And I think this world he's created is it's just exceptional. I can't stop thinking about it really since I finished this a week ago. And just thinking about where it might go. I know that the next book in the series has different POV characters. So I don't know if it's like, each book is going to take a different point of view. It's going to be in a different area, different territory. But what happens at the end of this book, I don't think it's the last you've seen of some of these characters. But man, just again, every time I thought I knew it was coming, whew, left field, boom, what a throw. It's just like incredible. I said holy shit out loud numerous times reading this because it's just so crazy. But I'm sitting here trying to gush about it without just really spoiling very much for you guys. Just say, if you like just incredibly unique fantasy stories and just want something a little different, if you're in a rut a little bit with modern fantasy, I think you'll love this, man. I don't see any reason that you won't, unless you're not into grimdark, because, guys, it is very grim. It does not pump the brakes on really, really bad things happening to anyone. No one is safe. Women, children, whatever. Everyone is up for whenever you're dealing with. These are people that are conquering territories, and they are wiping them out. They are wanting to leave no one alive. It is very, very vicious. And he doesn't pump the brake on that at all. He will show you how the sausage gets made. So be careful if that is something that bothers you. But if that, like me, that doesn't bother you, I think this will be a series that you absolutely dig. I can't wait to continue. And again, thank you to Mr. ACOTAR for sending me this incredible, beautiful Ultimate Edition. I hope I can try to get into the late Kickstarter to back book number 2. I know it's coming out rather soon, actually, but absolutely worth it. And again, I'm anxious to continue. And that's why Gunmetal Gods, guys, which again is like the most awesome fantasy name you've ever heard. Gunmetal Gods, how awesome is that? Book was awesome. That is why it is my book of the month for the month of January. How about most popular content for the month of July, guys? Well, I did 13 standard videos. I had 2 in case you missed it, and 1 live stream. And that was a live stream that was kind of, I don't know what to do. Let's just do a live stream. That's what I think live streams should be. They should just be kind of just spur of the moment. Let's just, why not? Let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. Let's talk about the 5 most popular videos according to you, the viewing audience. Fantasy tropes I'm tired of and need to be retired. 38,000 views as of this recording. That was one of those where traditionally I'm a lover of fantasy tropes. I love The Chosen One. I love a Dark Lord. I love dragons. I'm good with all these things. It doesn't bother me at all. I love prophecies. Give me more of them. That's the things that brought me to the genre. But there are several things And they are mostly in modern fantasy. They've been bothering me for a long time. And I just kind of want to talk about them and just say, look, again, I'm not the end-all be-all on this. And I get lots of comments like, well, when you write a book, you can... Well, it's fine. It's like, again, it's just my opinion. These are things that bother me. They're not going to bother everybody. But there are several things that are going on in fantasy that I've been like, I've had enough of that. I'm ready to see us move away from that one. Obviously, those people are millionaires. I'm just a guy with Wi-Fi, so they don't need to do that. They don't need to listen to me. They need to listen to their publisher, probably. But it isn't just me like ranting about romantasy or something like some people might think. Really, there's several small things that keep getting done in fantasy that really just drive me crazy. You know, kind of like, you know, letting out the breath that they didn't know they were holding. And there's several things that I think that we all can look at and be like, yeah, that bothers me. Or, you know, maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's some things that you love about it. Again, I love The Chosen One. Lots of people are ready for that one to die a very, very quick death. So I think that's going to vary. Your mileage is going to vary on whatever you feel about that. But I also want to make the counterpart to that, you know, fantasy tropes that I love. But because, you know, I like to lean more towards the positive on this channel. And I don't think that was necessarily negative. It's just there was a couple things I did get a little heated about, you know, because I'm just sick of them. But yeah, I feel like we all have those things that we can't stand when it comes to tropes. Creator on creator violence. Why are booktubers attacking other booktubers? That's at 23,000 views as of this recording. That was one I was very nervous to put out because I knew I was going to get some backlash for it. Really, it was just me just not telling anyone what kind of content you can make, just saying I don't like it, I hate it, because I feel like BookTube overall is a very positive space, and I'm just seeing more and more of these "why is BookTube so toxic" videos come out. And I hate it, and I hate getting told I only review popular books, you know, and I hate getting told I don't do reviews anymore. We all have those things, but I just feel like we can talk about these things and talk about why we make the content we make without trashing what someone else is doing. In the end, if another creator wants to grow their channel, why does that matter? How does that affect your life? So that's really kind of what I was going to in that. I wasn't trying to police the content that people make or tell you that you're bad or be the booktube dad or any of that stuff. For me, it was just, I love that this is a positive space, and I hope that it can stay a positive space. And not attacking other creators is a good reason that it would stay a positive space. Favorite series I always go back to, basically books that I would reread. I made a video recently about, you know, rereads, why maybe they might be good or bad. But I'm just talking about some series that, like, look, I have reread these, or there's some that I would reread. That's sitting at 21,000 views. I know everyone loves them some good comfort food, and you love to go back to those things that you do love. I'm the type that likes to go to a restaurant and order the same thing every time I go to it because I know what I like, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I understand the love and the need for rereads, and I'm not immune to it. I've done them, and there are several that, you know, if time allows, I would love to do them again. And that's kind of what that video was talking about. My mid-year video, my best and the worst so far of 2025, that's sitting at 20,000 views. Obviously, some surprises on there. Like I never expected to like ℚ𝕦𝕤𝕚 as much as I have. I never expected Mystic River to maybe be my book of the year so far, and that was a ℚ𝕦𝕤𝕚 read. Brian, take a bow. So obviously, it's been some big surprises, and it's, you know, some of those things. It's like, wow, I didn't think that I was going to dislike that book so much, huh? I thought Grady Hendrix was going to be the next big thing for me. You know, there's several things about a best and a worst video. It's not meant to be overly positive, overly negative. Just like these are things that really work for me. These are things that maybe not. You know, they might have disappointed me a little bit. It's always fun to look at kind of a snapshot at mid-year, and you can kind of take a peek at, like, look, here's some things I think I'm going to correct the second half of the year. Maybe I know, maybe I should get away from that genre a little bit. Maybe that author's not going to be for me. It might actually make it change your plans a little bit as it does mine. But I think it's fun to look at mid-year and see what's working, what's not for you as a reader. And then books I am most excited about for this fall. That's at 15,000 views. You guys know there are some monsters coming out in the fourth quarter this year, and it's just kind of looking ahead to some of them that, you know, obviously we're all super excited to read. And some are new releases, some aren't. They're just, you know, ones that I have on my schedule, and they're looking at the 10 that I'm the most excited for. And with some as big as some of those books are, you know, they might take the whole fourth quarter of the year. But we'll talk about that. We'll approach that bridge when we get there. But for me, it's always exciting to look ahead a little bit to Q4. And that's kind of what I'm going to be kind of doing here for my goals for our August, to start getting clear for those big Q4 releases. Now, look, I've been blessed, and I'm very lucky to have gotten some review copies. I got the review copy of Stronger. What's it called? Strength of the Few. The book the box that came with says Stronger Together, so I've been calling it Stronger of the Few. Strength of the Few, I got an arc of that. I got an arc of Empire of the Dawn. I got an arc of King Sorrow. You know, I've already got Empires in Dust, which has actually already been out. So there's several books that I want to read in the fourth quarter. They're massive. I've gotten Christopher's new book, but I got to read book 6 first, which I'm going to be doing here in like a week or so. So it's one of those where you got to try to stagger these, because if I try to read them all in November, I'm going to die. I might actually die. You mean you'll actually die? So November, December seem like it's going to be, might be having TBR videos. So here are the 2 books I'm going to read this month because they're just so monstrous. Getting these releases a little early, maybe I can stagger those things a little bit and make it easier to kind of navigate these challenges we have in the fourth quarter here. So it really is just kind of like doing some cleaning up some things, visiting some worlds again that I've kind of taken a long break from. Talked about I'm going to be doing Disquiet Gods here very soon after it's been a long break since Ashes of Man. But to return to those, hopefully talk about nothing back off the ground in a consistent basis. I already have guest book for September and October. August. It's August, isn't it, guys? So I just had Patrick for July. I've got a guest already for August. It's going to be Jared Henderson. September, I'm going to have Ramble Broadcasting. October, I'm going to be talking to Ronald Malfi, which is very, very exciting. So hopefully I can talk about nothing back off the ground on a consistent basis. That is really, really the hopes here. And I think scheduling so far in advance makes it a little easier to navigate our schedules around one another. But guys, that's what I have for the month of July. It's been a fun month. Like I said, again, if Artificial Condition was my least favorite book I read this month, it was a great month because I liked the book. I liked it. So there we go. That's all you can ask for. I think when you plan a TBR, kind of mixing up genres like I've been trying to do, and they're all winners, and you find a new fantasy series that you think is going to just be one of the best, I think that it's a great month overall. It's really all you can ask for as a reader, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about it. I'm excited to hear what you read this month. What was your book of the month? Have you read any of these? I'd love to hear what you guys think. So drop in the comments, guys, and let me know. I will talk to you there.